thinking particles group, but the mesh of the animation guy. We'll make a clone, because we want to remove from the clone the VolumeBreaker, so we'll have a clean mesh, the initial mesh. So let's press Ctrl V or edit duplicate, set it as copy. Okay, rename it. Then it will be selected. We'll remove the VolumeBreaker modifier, and now we have just the initial clean mesh. Okay, so now we need to remove the parts that are fragmented. To do this, we'll use the volume select. We'll set it to vertex invert, because we want to select the vertices that are outside of our measure, because after the fragmentation will occur, the measure will mesh, or will calculate the remaining geometry, so these vertices will be not selected, and those will be not. Okay, so we want to invert the selection. We don't want the vertices inside the mesh, mask mesh. So let's set it to mesh object, and we'll pick the measure. Now you can see that we have some artifacts. Some vertices are selected, some are not. This is because the algorithm that volume select uses, and because we have faces inside, it will think that it's outside or inside incorrectly. So there is a simple method to go around this problem, is to use soft selection. So let's check soft selection, and we set the value to 1. Okay, you can see that we don't have any selected vertices, and all works like it should. Okay, so this is all. Now we just need to set what will be rendered and what not. We want the animation guy clean mesh to be so we can see at the render. We don't want the measure, so right click on properties, remove red and double. Also I'll set it at box, because I don't want to see the mesh here. After we don't also we don't want the base mesh, the thinking particles group, so let's select it and uncheck this, and also display as box. And I don't want the animation guy, which is fragmented, so we'll not use the red and double options, because it will affect the thinking particles, but we'll just hide it. Hide selection. Okay, so now we have only the clean mesh. If you scroll now, you'll see that after fragmentation it will have holes. Okay, so we have holes inside the mesh. To fix this, let's clean the selection by put a mesh select modifier. This will clean the selection from volume select. Then we want to cap the holes. Okay, so now we'll have a fitted. Okay, just let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, you'll not see here because it's because of this shader. Anyway, it's there. I'm telling you, it should be a hole. So if you will not use glass, even with glass, sometimes you'll see the hole. It's not be correct, and you don't want this because because it will look fake. You'll see the geometry. It's just a geometry, not a real human or real object. So let's enable this, and okay, I'll try to duplicate. Just maybe we'll see in the end the difference. Okay, not big difference here. Also, one little problem with cap holes is that if the fragments will go like in a concave fashion, the cap holes will create a face that you might not want it. So from this point to this, so it will be like in the empty area. It will look a little bit like an artifact, but if it depends on what you're gonna do. If you will fragment quickly, you'll not see it, but it depends. And most of the time you want to cover holes, so if it will be seen, the fragmentation part, the remaining mesh, you don't want the viewer to see the hole in the mesh. Okay, that's all. You can let's make the render. Also, I wanted to talk about the collision. Let's add some dynamics, like a force to the fragments. Groups fragments, operators, dynamics, force. Also we need a helper, standard point free helpers to set the direction, negative z axis. And so we want the force to be like 100, like so. Let's create a floor. We need to have more edges for shape collision or operator. If you don't want to increase the resolution of the voxels, that will increase your simulation time. Like so. Also, I think is the inherent movement is too much. Let's set it to 150, like so. Okay, now okay, you can play with physics later. We want to add a shape collision. Groups, okay, operators, shape collision like so. We want to add a floor node like so. Okay, so in shape collision we'll use the fragments as active group, which will be the dynamic in this shape collision, and deflectors will make a little trick for the fragments to deflect on the base mesh. So we don't want to pass through the base mesh. We can increase here the settings, but okay, size of mass. Activate all. Okay, let's see what we have now. Okay, let's play. I'll make a render. I'll pause the video to see. You'll see only the final render, so you'll not see all the rendering process. I'll be back soon. Sorry, one more thing, I forgot to add a delete mesh. So volume select, yes, and let's add the delete mesh. Okay, we may want to add one more time the mesh select, just to be sure, which we will not select now. We will not select anything. Okay. Okay, I'll be back after I'll render one more time. Okay, so here is the render. Also, I'll show. Let's stop the render and let's see what we have. Okay, so this is it. For the simulation, you may want to increase the samples per seconds here, like so. Also, maybe the collision contact settings, and okay, and also you may want to scale a little bit down the fragments so they will not stack together by using a standard scale operator, like so. Let's say 0.95. Okay, so this is all. If you'll do some kind of animation test, please let me know, so I want to see what you'll do and how it will look. Okay, that's all. Thank you and goodbye.